Mayday, Mayday, we're crashing. I repeat, we're just kidding. I know that's what people want to hear because crash gets clicks, but that's not what's happening here. It is officially May 2025, and while we are seeing some market volatility, it's not quite panic worthy. In this episode of the monthly market update for Santa Clara County, we're going to break down this month's market trends and statistics, why some homes are sitting on the market longer than others, what to consider if you are wanting to buy or sell right now, and what economists are saying about the recent tariffs and their effect on housing. You ready? Because after this, you'll be able to confidently answer the question, so how's the market? Let's dive in. Looking at the month of April for 2025, here's where things stand for Santa Clara County. So in terms of median days on market, we're looking at 8 days, with average days on market being 14. So really in just a matter of 1 to 2 weeks, things are getting turned over. As we turn over to sale price, the median sale price this past month was $1.8 million, and the average sale price was just over $2 million at $2,089,924. So when we're actually looking at what that means list to sale ratio wise, we are still seeing homes sell pretty well above asking. Not a massive amount, but still a considerable amount. And we're only seeing things warm up even more as we get into spring and summer. So the list to sale price ratio based on those median numbers we're looking at is 105.9%. Things are getting sold at 105.9% of their listing price. That's important to note if you are actively looking to buy in the market today, because if you bid at list price and those comps are ranging much higher, you might not even be entering the competition like you think you are. So make sure you strategize and talk with me, your realtor, to help you figure that out and go with the best offer strategy possible. And finally, I want to finish number-wise with our total active listings. So in Santa Clara County, there are currently 2,353 active listings as of this first Monday in the month, May 5th. And 1,423 of those are single-family homes. So in real estate speak, right? That means inventory is still tight across the Bay Area, but it is starting to expand as we know that shopping increases as the weather warms up. And price is increasing as well. As we just noted, that homes are selling above asking in most areas of Santa Clara County. In plain terms, if you're seeing a home that's sitting on the market for 2 to 3 weeks or longer, it's either priced too high, needs work, or just isn't hitting right with buyers. And the reason that we look at both median and average numbers, but typically tend to pay more attention to the median number when going through these statistics and market trends, is because median means that half of these homes are selling faster than this number that's given, and half of the homes are selling slower. So our median days on market was 8 days. Half of the homes are selling faster than that, and half are selling slower. The average number doesn't always give the full story. So altogether, most homes are still selling, and selling quickly for that matter, especially those that are associated with top-rated schools across Santa Clara County. We're just not seeing that frenzy like we saw in 2021 or 2022 that people keep asking if it's going to come back. And, time will tell. We can't tell the future as realtors, but we can analyze the market trends and let you know what we're seeing so that we can try to help you strategize and plan for your ideal future home and figuring out what that means for you step by step along the way, depending on the season. And in this season, the market is warming up, but it's also volatile. So it's important just to be prepared either way and to know what the trends are saying. So let's talk about the elephant in the MLS. Why are some homes just not moving? And I got some personal experience and stories to tell you on this one. Tell me if this is you. You are browsing, scrolling through Zillow or Redfin, looking at these homes and wondering, wait, this house is beautiful. I remember seeing it. Why has this house been listed for 45 days with no bites? If that's you, you're not alone. Let me tell you what we're seeing out here in real time. I have been in multiple situations lately where a home, by all means, according to the listing, looks like it's going to be competitive and go in 1 or 2 days and get offers increasingly faster, I should say, than other listings in the area. And then you go see it and something's just off. Buyers are walking through open houses and there's a general hesitation, or, buyers are walking through and they're excited, and yet a week later it's still on the market, and then 2 weeks later it's still on the market, and then 33 days later it's still on the market, and we're wondering what's going on. A lot of times the answers are in the disclosures. And while that's not always the case, there's 3 main things that I am seeing right now that are representative of the market volatility and the buyer hesitation that I suspect is shifting the numbers. Across the Bay Area, we are seeing both a return to office increase and a demand amidst a lot of our major tech companies. And yet also, while not as huge of numbers as some of our newsworthy layoffs that we've heard about in the past year or two, layoffs are still happening consistently across many of our tech companies in the Bay Area. They're downsizing, they're reorganizing, and it is creating a fear factor. So the buyer hesitation makes sense because people don't want to invest in something just to end up being house poor or to lose that financial stability that purchasing a home and having that asset is supposed to help them build. So we're seeing some people rush so that they can use the funds while they have it and get the home and build that asset and hold on to it. And then we're also seeing some people purchase lower than what their original plan was, or purchasing something that they would consider below their means so that they're not putting in a lot of money in an investment that they can't afford long term, the monthly payments. There's a lot of different mindsets around this, of course. There's other folks still out there. I'm not going to generalize as a whole that everybody's feeling this, because there's many people out there who also are expecting and working towards that salary increase and job promotions and see that future, whether staying at the same company or moving to a different one. There's so many options and ways to look at this, but my point here is that we are seeing that buyer hesitation in how offers are coming in and even how they're not being followed through on. I am hearing multiple realtors in conversations with other agents. I'm hearing multiple sellers experiencing transactions falling through due to buyers pulling out or having an issue or major change in their finances. I'm also hearing people saying they're going to submit offers, then when that deadline comes about, those offers don't get submitted, so they're expecting 3 to 5 offers and maybe get 1 or none. And that goes surprising to everybody, the sellers, the agents, and even other buyers who were debating if they wanted to be competitive and get into the market or not. But I'll touch more on that in the next section when we talk about what to consider if you're wanting to buy right now. I kind of want to jump to my next point. That number 2 thing that I'm seeing in real time is a condition price mismatch. Some of the homes we are seeing, and I'll just pull out one area for example, we're seeing a lot more listings come up in the Santa Teresa area. And with a pretty well-rated high school in that area, we're seeing a lot of families wanting to move there and finding it somewhere in the middle of affordability. There's some really expensive homes and there's some that are considered higher space or more square footage for the value and price that you're getting. Now, almost all of these homes are just being posted at about the same price. Like there's a hair of a difference anywhere between, $10,000 to $90,000, but they're all kind of in this similar price range of where they're posted at their listing price coming on the market in this past month, past couple weeks especially. Now, when you enter the homes, the conditions of the homes are vastly different, which makes you question, why are all the listing prices the same? And why is the expectation and the comps that they're running the same when the condition is not always up to par? So that's something just to be conscious conscious of. You got to lay eyes on things in person and work with somebody. This is why I do property previews and why not only do we go through our list, but we go see things in person and schedule private showings as well to make sure that what we see on the listing matches what we see in person. But then we also do our digging. We just saw a home in the South San Jose area that was priced competitively, I will say, meaning it wasn't like the highest number, it wasn't the lowest number, it was priced competitively. So a lot of eyes were seeing this home, and we went to see it and it was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous in person, just like the pictures on the listing. It looked in person exactly as it showed on the internet. However, as we walked through, we kept noticing things, and I especially was noticing things that were red flags to me, like when I was walking and the floors are squeaking. Older homes sometimes have squeaky floors, no big deal, but when I start feeling the ridges in the ground and like as I'm stepping on something, I can feel the divot as I lean one way or lean to the next, and it almost feels like my walk is unstable to where I'm questioning if my knees are working. As pretty as those brand new floors are, something underneath is not right. Red flag, right? And then I'm like, okay, well, let me go walk in the backyard, and I'm scanning the backyard. Everything is pretty well taken care of, maintained. The landscaping looks really nice. And there's this like really beautiful fountain. And I'm looking at the fountain from the front. Everything just looks really nice. And then I go to like look towards the back of this fountain pond area. And it was mostly out of my curiosity because growing up, my dad had like kind of built a whole pond and fountain in our backyard. So I kind of wanted to check out, like, I want to make sure that the mechanisms for this is something that is conserving some of that water as well, because I know ponds can use so much energy and so much water if you actually have like fish and running water and things like that, right? So it just uses a lot. I wanted to see what was being used and if for my clients, it made sense for them to invest in a home that also had this feature. And as I'm looking at it, I go to look at the back at the mechanisms. The mechanisms for the pond were fine, to be clear. But what I ended up finding out was that it was leaning against the fence in a way that like all the rocks and the structure of the fountain itself had shifted. I don't know how or why it shifted, if it was over time, if it was an earthquake, I don't know the reason. But these rocks were leaning significantly enough that they were pushing into the fence and into the neighbor's yard. And that raised another red flag for me of concern, because those rocks did not look easily movable, right? So something was going on there. And of course, already knowing that something was up with the floor, although everything on the inside of this home was absolutely beautiful, my concerns just kept growing and growing and growing. When we did a deep dive of the disclosures, sure enough, we found foundation issues, we found water leaks, and we found varying concerns related to old plumbing and drainage that even though the interior was completely renovated and gorgeous, most of that interior would need to be ripped out to take care of a lot of the underlying invisible issues that that home needed in order to last. So, condition and price doesn't always match, and there's a reason why. You just have to find it, all right? And this is where, if you still want the home and you're really willing to put in that work, you got to be strategic with your offer. You got to be smart about it and budget accordingly for your own finances, because those repairs can be very costly. And if it's not for you and you're not looking to put in work on something, then we go back to the drawing board and find something else, which is what we did in this case. That third thing I'm seeing is neighborhood trends and things we're wanting versus not wanting that have changed over the years. Parking is the big one that I want to highlight here. So 2 things with this. There was a period of time over the last few years where people were caring less about having garages. While garages used to be like, oh my gosh, you have to have a garage, then it shifted to like, okay, well, a 1-car garage is plenty. And actually like a carport is fine. And, we might not even need a garage as long as the driveway has ample space for you to park, or there's plenty of street parking and you're not worried about that. Now, especially with the increase in EV usage, people want to have garages and they want to charge their cars inside the garage rather than parking in the front and connecting the charger, or parking on the side of the house and connecting a charger. They want that charger to be inside the house and maintained within. So that's a big thing we're seeing. And then another comment I am hearing pretty frequently now is that People are getting turned away when they see a ton of cars parked on the street and they can't necessarily visualize hosting people, like having people over. If they were going to invite like another family over for dinner or something like that, and they're like, well, our car's parked in the driveway and there's no parking on the street because it's just kind of full of parked cars, then that's a turnoff for a lot of people. So not for everyone, of course. Again, not generalizing, just pointing out what I'm hearing from my clients and the trends that I'm seeing for the folks that I'm helping with listing and buying side. Both of them, that has been a trend. Wanting a garage, EV charging in the garage, and wanting to have clearer streets or at least options for additional parking outside of their own driveway. So if you are on the market right now, let's talk about what you need to be considering. If you are planning to buy this year, and especially if you are a first-time home buyer, here's what matters. Know your numbers. I say this in almost every market update episode because it's that important. Interest rates may be fluctuating, but with updated loan programs and creative financing, many buyers still have strong purchasing power, and oftentimes it's higher than they even realize. And that could be the same for you. And I'm sure we've all heard the phrase, marry the house, date the rate. But what does that actually mean in your scenario? It means it's okay to buy now and refinance later. But if you wait too long, rates might climb again before they drop. And finally, for buyers, be honest about your needs. Do you need a home or are you waiting for a deal? The deal is clarity and a strategy that aligns with your life goals. And a home is a piece of your strategy. And that includes the type of home, the timing, and what aspects of that home are most important to you in this season. Again, the big trend we're seeing that I think I highlighted in either the last market updates or the one before that is that there's a reframing of the mind of purchasing a home that's not always a forever home as a start. We hear that phrase starter home or first home far more often than we hear forever home. And sometimes you still can get that forever home that you've always dreamed of. It just may not be the very first one you purchase. And that's part of building the strategy and need the strategy and figuring out your needs versus your wants versus those big dream desires and goals and pulling them all together so you can create a plan. And that's what I'm here for, to help you through that. I'm here to help you break it all down so you're not overwhelmed by headlines or hypotheticals, but so that you can get real answers and real strategy. And now for my sellers out there, here's a major myth I want to bust today if you are considering selling your home. You do not have to fully renovate or move out of your home before putting it on the market. Every situation is unique, and here's the truth. We've sold homes with owners living there the whole time. Dishes in the sink, kids' toys hanging out, a dog cage in the back. We've seen it all. We've also sold homes that were inherited, fully vacant, but in complete disrepair. And of course, as you tend to see more often on social media or in the beautiful Zillow listings that you might end up scrolling through, we've sold homes that were fully renovated, move-in ready, pristine, with zero upgrades needed. What matters most? Strategy. That's where we come in. We assess your home, understand your goals, and then build a custom plan to sell it. We think about the positioning, the price to sell. We analyze the market trends. All of that we do to help you reach success and reach those goals. What might feel like a mountain of problems to you is actually our favorite kind of puzzle. We love solving it and getting you results. Now, let's zoom out. Economists and housing analysts are keeping a close eye on recent tariffs and their ripple effects on goods, supply chains, and yes, real estate. According to CNBC, new tariffs on steel, concrete, and lumber may influence construction costs, which can affect new build timelines and affordability. The National Association of Home Builders, and I quote, estimates that $204 billion worth of goods were used in construction of both new multifamily and single-family housing in 2024. $14 billion of those goods were imported from outside the U.S., meaning approximately 7% of all goods used in new residential construction originate from a foreign nation, end quote. And continued learning more about this, the National Association of Home Builders actually filed a letter with the Department of Commerce stating that housing and the new builds that we are seeing, the new construction of residential housing, is a national security concern. So they filed that letter saying that no further lumber tariffs should be imposed in the name of national security. And I understand their point. Definitely. Like I said, we see it in the Bay Area, and even though we see a number of 2,000, when you think about how many families are wanting or in need of housing, of purchasing a home, we're still coming up short. We have low inventory compared to the demand and need. So yes, the tariffs will affect construction of residential housing and likely will affect affordability of new build homes if that's of interest to you. Another interesting global trend that affects us here in the US, we're seeing more interest from global buyers, particularly those who view the Bay Area as a long-term safe investment. That means even if it feels like fewer locals are buying homes right now, homes are still moving, just sometimes to international or cash buyers who are playing the long game. Moral of the story, the market isn't dead, it isn't crashing, it's just shifting. And understanding who's buying and why is key. Whether you are actively in the market or just curious, thank you for watching this month's market update. I have to take a moment to personally thank my wonderful clients. You know who you are. We connect regularly, and I am so grateful that I get to be part of your journey in buying your home and your journey in selling your home and making those transitions in life. I want to thank my teammates and partners in this work. As often as you see one realtor's face on a picture, on a business card, on a flyer, we don't do this work alone. We work with amazing, trusted lenders, moving companies, different finance offices and financial advisors, tax strategists. I could go on and on and on. Stagers, like, oh gosh, there's so many of you that I want to thank, and I do my best to send those messages, but I think it's worth putting in this market update too, just so that all those who are considering buying or selling or investing or just trying to figure out what's going on in the market know that this is not a solo journey. We get to do it as a village and to build our community as we build our homes. So thank you to all my partners and colleagues and friends in the real estate community for all your hard work. And finally, thank you to everyone who tunes in each month and watches these market updates. Thank you for reaching out with your questions, for sharing this content, and for sending your referrals. Your support means the world. And if you're wondering how you can support my work, even if you're not buying or selling right now, sharing this video, sending a referral, or just tagging a friend is a huge help and deeply appreciated. Here's to living well, being informed, and staying rooted in what matters most. I'm Lolo Fisher with Metis Real Estate, and I'll see you for our monthly market updates next time. Stay in touch.